Forget the restaurants with a 2-hour wait and a line wrapped around the building. Texas has a whole second menu, the one locals actually eat from, hiding behind gas station counters and inside buildings that haven't changed since disco was still a thing. These 10 spots prove the best meal in Texas rarely comes with a crowd. Quick one before we start. Way out in West Texas sits a town called Terlingua, and it's technically a ghost town today. It didn't start that way though. Guess what industry originally built the whole place up before it emptied out? And drop your answer in the comments. We'll settle it at the end. Kicking things off at number 10 is a pharmacy that somehow also serves one of the best burgers in Coleman, Texas. That combination sounds made up, but Owl Drug has been running its soda fountain since 1923, making it the second oldest continuously operating one in the entire state. Back then, Calvin Coolidge hadn't even settled into the presidency yet. Locals order the Black Cow without blinking, a mix of chocolate ice cream, chocolate syrup, and root beer that tastes like a childhood you maybe didn't even have. The food menu keeps things simple too. Breakfast plates, burgers, sandwiches, smoothies, and real coffee, all at prices that feel stuck in a decade nobody else charges anymore. Just watch the clock, since they close at 4:30 in the afternoon most weekdays and 2 in the afternoon on Saturdays, and don't bother showing up Sunday at all. Landing at number 9 is a spot most people would drive right past without a second look, tucked between two quiet neighborhoods in northeast San Antonio. Gino's Deli Stop and Buy earned a spot in Yelp's 2025 list of the top 100 sandwich shops in the country, coming in at 9th place nationally, which is a wild flex for a place with zero flashy signage out front. The owner spent years working in New York delis before bringing that technique home, and it shows the second you bite into the Philly cheesesteak. The rotisserie chicken sandwich has its own loyal following too, and regulars will argue for hours about which one actually deserves the top spot. There's also a full range of salads and vegetarian options if sandwiches aren't your thing that day. It sits at 13,210 Hubner Road, nowhere near the Riverwalk crowds, which is exactly why most tourists never even know it's there. Sliding into number 8 is a cafe in Fort Worth that used to be a pizza parlor back in the 1970s, and somehow that history still lingers in the bones of the building. Westside Cafe has been serving up country cooking since 1996, and it's become enough of a local institution that it's actually a regular stop on bus tours through the area. The chicken fried steak sits at the top of most people's order, but breakfast runs all day here, so burritos and veggie omelets are just as fair game at 2 in the afternoon as they are at 8 in the morning. There's even a dedicated seniors menu, a small detail that tells you exactly who this place has been built for over the years. Homemade cakes and pies round out the rest of the menu, and none of it feels rushed. It's open daily from 7 in the morning to 3 in the afternoon, so plan around that window if you're making the trip out to Camp Bowie West. Coming in at number 7 is a burger joint in Midtown Houston that's earned enough of a following to land on diners, drive-ins, and dives, complete with a signed poster hanging inside in case anyone doubts it. Langford Grocery and Market doesn't play it safe with its burger menu either. The Grim Burger alone comes loaded with mac and cheese, jalapenos, bacon, and cheese stacked on top of a beef patty that's already a handful before the toppings even go on. There's a slow-cooked brisket burger too, for anyone who wants their burger to taste a little more like Texas barbecue than a diner special. Sandwiches, salads, and a full pastry case round out the rest, including muffins, cinnamon rolls, and kolaches for anyone who wants dessert before the burger even arrives. It's tucked away on Dennis Street, and the portions run big enough that splitting one isn't a bad call if you're not planning to skip dinner too. Rolling into number 6 is a spot most GPS apps barely register, sitting along a quiet stretch of road in Castroville, well outside the usual hill country tourist loop. Cora's 471 Grill runs on daily specials built around whatever's fresh that day, but the chicken fried steak holds its own against far more famous versions served in bigger cities. Hand-patted burgers and buttery mashed potatoes fill out the rest of the menu, nothing fancy, just food made the way it should be. What actually sets this place apart isn't on the menu at all. It's the staff greeting regulars by name and asking about their families before the order even makes it to the kitchen. That kind of hospitality doesn't scale up, and Cora's has never tried to make it. The restaurant sits at 2,204 FM 471, and locals treat it less like a restaurant and more like a second living room. Landing at number 5 is a breakfast spot on East 7th Street that most Austin visitors somehow managed to sleep through entirely. Joe's Bakery and Coffee Shop has been serving the neighborhood since 1962, and the regulars who show up practically every morning already know exactly what they're ordering before they sit down. The migas are the reason people keep coming back. Eggs scrambled together with crispy crispy tortilla strips, tomatoes, onions, and cheese, served alongside refried beans and warm tortillas for a price that still feels fair in a city where fare prices are getting harder to find. Family photos cover the walls, and the coffee is simple, hot, and exactly what it needs to be, nothing more. Grab a piece of pan dulce from the display case on your way out, since skipping it would honestly be a mistake. It's open early and closes before dinner, so this one's strictly a morning move. Coming in at number 4 is a cafe in Strawn, Texas, a town so small its population barely clears 600 people, and yet it somehow landed a cameo in the hit series Landman. Mary's Cafe hangs a sign out front claiming to be the home of the world-famous chicken fried steak, and after enough reviews from Texas to the United Kingdom backing that claim up, it's hard to argue otherwise. The steak itself comes out the size of a dinner plate, hand-breaded and fried until golden, then buried under peppery cream gravy that could talk a vegetarian into reconsidering their choices. Local TV host Bob Phillips once described it as tasting just like Mama Made, which is about as high a compliment as Texas food criticism gets. Burgers and a handful of Tex-Mex dishes round out the rest of the menu if steak isn't the move that day. It sits on Highway 16, about 80 miles west of Fort Worth, far enough off the interstate that showing up here still feels like a deliberate choice. Sliding into number 3 is a barbecue joint in Lockhart that skips forks, skips plates, and skips sauce entirely. And somehow that stripped down approach has made it legendary rather than lacking. Kreuz Market has been smoking meat since 1900, and the ordering process alone tells you everything about how seriously this place takes tradition. You point at what you want, they weigh it, wrap it in butcher paper, and send you off to eat standing at long communal tables. The brisket gets cooked low and slow over post oak wood until it hits that exact balance between crusty bark and tender interior that other pitmasters spend careers chasing. Sausage links snap the second you bite into them, which is apparently the whole test of whether it's done right. There's no sauce offered here, the belief being that meat this good doesn't need help from a bottle, and honestly, the argument holds up once you taste it. It sits at 619 North Colorado Street, about 30 miles south of Austin, and the drive alone is worth making on a weekend. Landing at number 2 is a restaurant sitting inside a town that technically doesn't function as a town anymore, since Terlingua emptied once its mining industry collapsed decades ago. Starlight Theater keeps the area alive anyway, serving Western-style Tex-Mex alongside live music most nights of the year, which is a strange and wonderful thing to stumble on in the middle of nowhere. The menu covers everything from hearty plates built for a hungry traveler to a full lineup of margaritas, beer, and wine for anyone sticking around after dinner. There's even a kids menu in case the whole family made the trek out together. What makes this one worth the drive isn't really the food itself, it's the fact that a place this remote still manages to feel like an event every single night. It sits at 631 Ivy Road, and if you're the type who wants dinner and a show without any pretension attached, this is about as close as Texas gets to delivering both at once. Topping the list at number 1 is a small yellow house in Brownsville that's been quietly doing something no other restaurant in Texas is allowed to do. Vera's Backyard Barbecue has served weekend-only barbacoa since 1955, using a traditional pit cooking method called barbacoa de cabeza de res en pozo, and it's the only restaurant in the entire state permitted to cook that way. The result is beef that comes out rich, tender, and smoky in a way no commercial steamer could ever fake, built by the same family for over 70 years running. In 2020, the James Beard Foundation recognized it with an America's Classics Award, which is about as serious a stamp of approval as a barbecue joint can get. Order it by the pound, load it into warm flour tortillas with onion and cilantro, and eat it outside the way locals always have. It sits at 2404 Southmost Road, and the line that forms early Saturday morning moves with the kind of purpose that tells you everyone there already knows exactly what they came for. Turns out Terlingua wasn't built for tourism at all. It grew up around a mercury mine before that industry dried up decades ago. If you enjoyed this video, you'll love this next one.